All right, everybody, it's our Clow here, and I guess this will be two videos today because as I was recording what is now going to be referred to as part one, my computer decided to just kind of shut itself down. So I had to take a minute there, get everything pulled back up, and I was talking about the anomaly of when VJ Day is Victory over Japan Day. And had pointed out that on the History Channel's website, it's declared as August 14th, and in a number of other places, you will see it referred to as the 15th, and any number of other dates there. And so, why we were talking about that is we were looking at the span of time from that day to the formation of the United Nations, being 72 days, and that's connection to wings and all of the things we've been talking about in part one about Red Bull and the Wings for Life Foundation, and right, all of the things. So, what I want to also reiterate to you here is the fact that we can also see that as 2 months and 11 days. So that 211 or 11-2. And part of why I'm so interested in that is because, again, now this is from that band video that I was showing you. I had done my first one on the whole COVID pandemic. But was looking at the origin place for the virus, and so you did see here that reference to 112 and 18. And why that goes even further is when I was looking here at, right, the secretary Ying Yang, both names 4 letters, Y reduces to 7, and so we have that nice 77 yet again. And in part one, we had referenced all of the things. We had talked quite a bit about the number 77. Please go back through and watch. It really boils my blood that this is now 2 different videos. But if you watch them concurrently, you should be able to get this all together. But Wings for Life, again, WFL, simple value of 41 in the reference to Oz, which is book 77 and starts with the phrase, the law of the strong. Do notice that simple value of 216 that phrase has, and notice as well that it is connected to the phrase the world ahead with the 2022 Roman numerals. So, with that all kind of being back on the table here, I want to delve a little bit more into this bit here with the Trinity test, because this year is going to mark the 77-year anniversary of this, and why this is something that I want to highlight further is because we had done quite a bit of research on this in the past. And so you can see some of the coding here for Trinity test, but that is not what I'm wanting to necessarily draw your attention to at this moment here. But so if we keep going back, you can see that we had talked about this years ago in 2019 when Elon Musk introduced the world to Neuralink. And part of the peculiarity of this is that July 16th also happens to be World Snake Day. And of course, you can see that 16, 1 and 6 is 7, and so it is another reference to 77. Again, a hallmark throughout here, and even that number 16, when we look to the very beginning of today's videos, plural now, that reference to follow the science and all of the pieces that fall right into place on that. But so, again, Musk unveiling Neuralink on the same day as what at that year was the 74-year anniversary of the Manhattan Project's Trinity test. Again, running it back here to Red Bull having that same 74 coding. And it's really interesting to me when we go back here. Now, this video is actually still up. And this was a very important video that I had done. And you can see here that I had this article that was talking about Musk's unveiling of Neuralink. And again, this is putting chips into your brain, 4 chips, mind you. And that Musk's concern had to do with this idea of bandwidth. So, not enough capacity in the human mind to be able to hang in there with these pieces. So now hold on to that because I'm going to touch on that again in just a bit. But what I really want you to see here as well, in relation to, again, this 77-year anniversaries, is 1945. That was when the bombing of Hiroshima happened. So do notice that August 6th was actually 22 days after the Trinity test, of course, that master builder number, all of the things that we could really unpack there. Ending of World War II, formation of the UN, Nuremberg trials, just to name a few. I will leave you a link here that I'm not going to explore too much today, just for the sake of time. But a great place to look at some of the events that did take place, right, in 1945, why they were so important, okay, all of these different things. So here you can see another reference to August 14th as Victory over Japan Day. And in the Nuremberg trials, right, 216 sessions, taking a 10-month span. Again, all of the things there with 216. But I want you to also be able to tune into, because 148, August 14th, is a number that keeps coming up. So let's show you the simple 148 here so that you can see a little more of these very profound connections as well. Let's see if we can get you into the recent ones. You can hear my computer struggling right now, wanting to shut down again. But we're going to push through this here, okay? So let's get back to this whole Wings for Life run, okay? Because there's still a lot that I want to be able to unpack here. So that's going to be next Sunday, and there's going to be 237 days remaining. And so you can see that symbol of 237 is the same as the world ahead with COVID. That's from our last video. And all of these important pieces. Now notice October 26th, that is another play on 1/26th, and I would really just say go watch this video because it is a fascinating part of the research that I was presenting that day. And so I don't want to get lost in the weeds of it because it is such an incredibly dense video. But so with that in mind, May 8th happens to be the 128th day of the year, and wouldn't you know that simple value of 128 is the same as Mother's Day, which will also be taking place that very day. And so when we look at this 128, we of course have our references to bubonic plague, the 2nd and 16th letters. There's another 216 for you. Jordan Peele's 2 films, Get Out and Us, in the same phrase. References to, again, all of these massively important numbers, which I can briefly pull up on the right side of your screen. So again, from my last video, 156, and all of the different connections that it had to what we were talking about that day. And I want you to also see here reference to the Misfits and Nestle Nescafe, again thinking about the Misfits bullet with JFK being shot on the cover. Remember that Nestle Nescafe was the first commercial that aired after we found out about his assassination. And then look here, written out the numbers 114. Well, that brings us to the beginning of this video because, as we talked about, it was 114 days since I released the information on the right side of your screen. So I'll be damned. Now look as well here because we can also look at this written out as 141. And again, the right side of your screen, the references to World War III, the new Aeon 4, number of beast, variole vaccinae, again, the origins of modern day vaccinations. You also have Marianne Moore, MM44. Remember, this is a award-winning poet who wrote the Pangolin, and I did explore that back in that video, discussing the pangolin and why that was something worth tuning into before they had identified that the COVID origins were connected to the pangolin potentially. So anyways, here you can see a little bit more about Marianne, because I do actually think this is an important piece for you to see for today, especially because later on we are going to have this simple 229, because she did refer to the pangolin as Leonardo da Vinci's replica in that poem. And so yeah, hold on to that for now. I could even just scroll down a little bit here so you can see 229 comes up today in reference to a glimpse into the past. Now this is going to be related to our Bob and Yar research that we're going to talk about in just a moment here, but let's get back, because we actually still have a ways to go before we can get in here. Okay, so again, we're still looking at this Mother's Day coding. Again, vaccine mask bet, that is also from the last video. And Vaxzevria, excuse me, is the name given to AstraZeneca's spinal cord inflaming vaccine. All right. Again, this is all connected to the 126 information. You can see here that they updated this on February 2nd, a nice hail to 22. But again here, they did make that announcement on January 26th. But so, in keeping in line with all of this over here, let's take a look at one other piece here, because these numbers can also be written as 411. So if I were to go over here and bring that up for you, you could take a look at the coding for that 411, because it is something that we have explored in the past. And again, it's relation to Chelsea Wolfe and her relation to that number 114 and all of the things that I keep reiterating to you about it. But one other thing that I also want to talk about here, and I'm going to reiterate this because I think it's in part 1 of the video now. For this Mother's Day coding, you do see a reference to April 1st. Do remember that we were talking about David Blaine's Magic Way, which was released on April 1st, 2020, and that happened to be the 33-year anniversary of Red Bull, founded on April 1st, 1987. And so I will pull up the coding here for you for David Blaine's video that we did a couple years ago now. But do remember that the Magic Way premiered 22 days after the WHO had declared the COVID pandemic. And just thinking about all these hails to 22 and the bombing of Hiroshima 22 days after the Trinity test, all of the things there. And I'll just scroll through a little bit of this on the right side, because this was a absolutely stunning video. And even in just thinking about how this all comes up with relation to Elon Musk, who we were just talking about in all of his Neuralink business, do notice here that Twitter, which he just bought, has the same coding as a Magic Way, that symbol of 115, so references to the New World, greater good, kill them all of the things. Emerald City, some more fun stuff coming over to Seattle. But what I also want to explore a little bit here with you is the fact that Pablo Picasso also shares that 128 coding. And part of why I wanted to unpack that, not only because, right, both of his names starting with P, the 16th letter, which reduces down to 7, of course, so we have yet another 77. But in thinking about all of these things with Red Bull today, again, obviously these references to the horned beast, but we have this painting from Picasso, the still life with Red Bull's head. Now, let's jump over here because this is very interesting. So you can see that this painting is from 1938, and here you have Diana Pinkney doing kind of a breakdown of this bull. And so it's very interesting. She's talking about this bull, right, is not peaceful like his bull of Guernica. And so I also just want to tune you into this whole bit here where the bombing of Guernica, which is what inspired the painting, took place on April 26th, 1937. So that is now 85 years ago. Now, where the fuck am I going with all of these connections? So really quick here, before I look at this coding for still life with Red Bull's head, I do want you to see here that the first Wings for Life run was on May 4th, 2014. Again, this year it's on May 8th. So that span of time is 8 years and 5 days. So that is a nice 85. We add it together, 8 and 5 is 13. Death card, all of the things. And right, it's very interesting that the span of 8 years and 5 days happens to mirror the fact that this year's race is on the 8th day of the 5th month. And then how interesting as well, because that simple value of 85 also gives us a reference to bandwidth, which, remember, I was showing you in this video with Neuralink being revealed on, right, the 74-year anniversary of the Trinity test 3 years ago. Elon Musk said that bandwidth was his issue here. All right, so again, all of that coming back, and you see Plan 9 as well as Violence, Storm, all of these bits. And of course, Plan 9 was the name of the record label that released this Misfits Bullet EP. Here we go. Plan 9 Records right there for you. Okay. So, very fascinating, very compelling, and yes, supremely stunning to me. But let's back it up here just a little bit, because I want to be able to emphasize here this still life with Red Bull's head and its connection to the Temple of Understanding, which is located at the 777 United Nations Plaza. All of the things that connects with in chapter 33. I also want you to see written out here 666, obvious, as well as World Health Organization. And you also see here post-apocalyptic commune. See my last video talking about Station 11, as well as the whole world shall burn, the number 124, which I will pull up for you on the right side of your screen. So you can see its references there to the previous video, as well as the phrase "we are" and bullet. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see where I'm getting that from. It's the A side of this, not including, right, the numeric value that is just written in numbers there. So we are and bullet. It goes on and on. Okay, red syringe connected again to the World Ahead cover from The Economist. But what I also want you to see in thinking about all of that is this reference to September 29th. So what is September 29th? Well, remember, this is another thing that I have been fascinated with over the years. And it connects to World Heart Day, the World Heart Federation. And remember years ago when I was thinking 2 and 9 is 11, September's the 9th month, this is a veiled 9/11. And isn't it so interesting that World Heart Day is in partnership with AstraZeneca and Pfizer, right? And Pfizer especially with, God, what's that side effect in the young boys, particularly the inflammation of their heart? Oh yeah, the myocarditis stuff. And they're paired up with the world. How fucking sick is that? And something we talked about years ago is these two C's in their logo, CC33, at the heart of everything. So know that it's all there. And with them being paired up with AstraZeneca and them being kind of one of the centerpieces for this particular presentation, well, I don't think that's any fucking coincidence. All right, something I also want to emphasize is not being very fucking coincidental is that 2022 is actually going to mark the 44-year anniversary of the World Heart Federation being a thing. So fucking wow, right? So with all of that being said, I wanted to pull up here in thinking about AstraZeneca and, the inflammation of the spine, the the Wings for Life Foundation, and right, the spinal cord research. So I just thought of the phrase, where's your spine? And right, it's connected to that simple value of 220. Another reference to 22, world depopulation, coronavirus pandemic, right? This actually also came up in my previous video. So I would encourage you to check that out. But now look here as well, because as I stated in part 1 of this video, all of the funds from the Wings for Life Marathon go towards spinal cord research. So how interesting that's the same as emergency management as well as nuclear holocaust. And remembering to just, put it together. It's there. So you can see they also reference November 12th. Again, that reduces to Pt.II. It's also going to be Neil Young's 77th birthday this year. A reference to August 13th, which we could also see, right, as a 138. All of the things with Pez theory. But I want you to see here as well the number 203, because a theme throughout these videos has been the number 23. Everything that we've shown you with Book of Lies, chapter 23 and beyond. Again, see my last video. But that number mirrored a phrase that I had come up with while I was researching this video, and it was the science of compliance, a simple value of 203. Now look at what comes up with that phrase. Great Awakening Reset, Coronavirus Hoax, 33rd Degree, Monarch Programming. You also have Shadow Government, Nuclear Explosion, Concentration Camps. I have not even broached what's going on in Shanghai in this video. But my God, notice as well here, Russia, nuclear war, and invasion of Ukraine. How very interesting, how coincidental. And so hold on to those, because as we now build this, and let's head over to the stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia right now. It's going to be our last leg of this video. So as stated earlier, Victory Day is the day after the Wings for Life and Mother's Day, right? Kind of joint celebration there. And so Victory Day 2, 2, and 4 from those letters, we could turn that into a nice 44, or we could bring it down to a nice 88, which we'll come back to. And it's weird as well because, right, Russia started their invasion of Ukraine on Pt.II. So, right, all of these things. Now, notice as well, if we're looking at spans of time, February 24th to May 8th is 74 days. And if you don't include the end date, well, that's what 2/24/259 is also 74 days. And again, just because I love kicking a dead horse, Red Bull has a simple value of 74. And right, we just keep fucking talking about it in this video. It's so weird. But so yeah, go ahead and pull apart all of those bits. I did also have here the phrase Russian invasion of Ukraine, because in my previous video we were talking about Invasion Day, right, and everything that had to do with January 26th, Australia's history, all of these things. I came up with the phrase United States Invasion Day. And right here we got all of these just very interesting concepts in the coding. And this is no exception. Hold on here to these numbers 232 and 144 because they're both very important, and I'm going to come back to them in just a moment here. Notice as well United States government and January 27th, which at the beginning of part 1 of this video I did tell you I wanted to talk about. So before we miss kind of any other pieces here, let me just take one more moment to kind of breathe, and then we are going to head into the final stretch of today's presentation. Whew, okay, here we go. All right. So, Russian invasion of Ukraine. Same coding as January 27th. In 2021, Zelensky designated the Holocaust Memorial at Babin Yar. So if we go back here, right, we can take a look at that. You can see very clearly last year, right, that he did in fact unveil this monument. And so this year, there was controversy around this monument. Because on March 1st, Putin bombed near the memorial, and right, there was impact at the memorial site. And this was on March 1st. All right, so 3-1, of course, mirrored and added is 44, all of the things. But this was actually 33 days after Holocaust Remembrance Day in, right, the year 2022. And let's bring it up for you over here, right? So you can take a look at that and see that span of time. Wow, fascinating. So let's keep going here, though, because with Babin Yar, you see that the simple value is 88. And here we have references to false flags, the New Age. There's that pangolin. Here's 4th. Vladimir, right? All of the things. This is obviously a very important number. And remember moments ago when we were talking about ways to break down Victory Day, we could get down to that 88. And so you start to see how all of this is so just intricately interwoven. And I also want to take a second here to flag this, because when we're looking at the history of Babin Yar, well, when did they start that massacre? It looks like September 29th. Oh, that's World Heart Day, isn't it? Holy shit, right? Yeah, no coincidence at all. Okay, get that out of your mind. And we just saw, right, all of that connection over here. And just in case you want to, right, try to get all squirmy, September 29th, right? And look at how it all just keeps coming back. Okay, you could even look at this right here, this 33 and this 771, right, mirrored as 177. Hold on to that, because we can make a very compelling case with that as well. But what I want you to see here is a article released on March 3rd of this year, and they're talking about, right, the collateral damage caused to the Holocaust Memorial of Babin Yar on March 1st. And you can see here, they refer to it as Holocaust by bullets. And we keep talking about bullets today, right? So connect that to all of the Misfits information. But look at here at the phrase Holocaust by bullets. It has a simple value of 232. And 232 is written out as a value in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, also connected with January 27th, which is what, right, when this memorial was dedicated last year. So, notice as well, 4th vaccination, 4, glorious demolition. All of the things, 232 came up in the last video as well. And yeah, it really just does go further and further here. And I was just telling you to hold on to that 177 mirrored from the Babin Yar stuff, the 33, the 177, right? This number right here. And part of that is because on September 13th of last year, a movie was released about a man who survived at the Auschwitz internment camps, and right, he's forced into boxing, all of these things. The movie, though, is called The Survivor, and it has a simple value of 177. Connection to, right, the mark of the beast, a pandemic of the deceived, whole new world, right? July 17th, the day after, right, World Snake Day, after the Trinity test. You also see here a reference to, right, sterilization, something undoubtedly that is going to be connected here with all of the different pieces that we continue to see in relation to, right, the pumping of these chemicals into us through the vaccines. But so anyways, again, September 13th, very huge date. I'm not going to go into it right now. But a glimpse into the past is another name for this memorial at the Babin Yar site. And I wanted to bring it up because of its references to the number 33, as well as the date June 21st. Leonardo da Vinci's replica, remember earlier, we were talking about this from Marianne Moore's, the Pangolin poem, right, on and fucking on. But so, with all of that in mind, let's get into some of these bits here about Zelensky, because, right, he deserves to have a little bit of a breakdown here as well. And what I want to do is tune you into the meaning of Volodymyr, his first name. And notice when you Google it, it also includes results for Vladimir. So what are the fucking odds that these two world leaders both have, right, V, the 22nd letter, could reduce down to 44, or if we add them, right, could give us another 44. So you see it's at every turn here. But the first thing that comes up for that is ruler of the world. And the way that they are trying to characterize this man is fucking sickening to me. But so ruler of the world, and remember, because that now is going to be in part 1 of this video, but ruler of the world is actually something that came up, where is it here? In Dietrich's coding. Okay, the guy who is currently 77, one of the founders of Red Bull, Austrian descent, right, coated with all this misfit stuff, he has that ruler of the world coding as well. And so what I wanted to do here when I was breaking this down is, right, so his first name means ruler of the world. His last name means either green or green place. And we do have that for you over here. So you can see that, we're not fucking reaching. But so ruler of the green world, right? What if we put all of that together? Well, you happen to get another number that was in my previous video, and connecting it to, right, contaminated vaccinations, as well as January 26th, which again is this number that has come up all throughout this video, my last video. It is going to continue to be important. But notice as well, right, Novus Ordo Seclorum, the whole new order of the ages. The reference to the 153, which again was also in the previous video, and its relation to, right, the linden tree. And I'm just going to encourage you to go back and check all of that out. Let's pull it up for you here, just so we can have a little bit of something here for you to go off. Absolutely stunning how this lines up. And so, okay. Now notice as well here, right? Crimes against humanity, of course, how that comes in with the contaminated vaccination and the military dictatorship. But how interesting as well, because we've talked so much about the number 44 throughout this video today, that Zelensky turned 44 this year on January 25th. And so, part of what really made this shit stand out to me, and so you can pull his stupid ass up over here, see his birthday, right? See him turning 44. But part of why this really stood out to me is because on January 25th, I saw this article the next day on the 26th. And so, saying things that you should know about January 26th. All right, great. And then we have here Pfizer starting their trial for the Omicron vaccine. And then you can see that it was actually on Tuesday, so that was the 25th. So the same day that Zelensky turns 44, Pfizer, who, remember, is in connection with World Heart Day, as well as the World Economic Forum, and, pretty much any other major fucking pawn piece in this, happens to come up. And so, when we look at the Omicron vaccine coding, we see it is a simple value of 144. Well, remember, I told you to hold on to a 144 that we saw just right up here. Where was that? Yeah, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, 144. Huh. Zelensky, he's the president of what country again? Right. And so notice as well here, references to April 4th, David Blaine's birthday. Also the year that the World Trade Centers were constructed. Look, 44 written out. Wow, just like April 4 reduces to 44. There's no way that that's all connected. Notice as well the spinal cord, the thing that Wings for Life is obsessed with. Notice as well here the numbers written out 2, 1, and 6. Geez, I just feel like we've seen those numbers somewhere. Right, for the umpteenth time in their connection to the World Ahead 2022, as well as the written out 232, which again, I was just showing you that we had written out here 232, right, and its connection to the Holocaust by bullets, the 4th vaccination. Are you not seeing this with all of this prediction? I know I sound fucking manic today, but it's because there is so much connection. Okay? And so, of course, that can also be 1, 2, 6 or 6, 2, 1. And part of why that is so important is because, right, this glimpse into the past gives us this June 21st. And at the very beginning of this video, when we were talking about follow the science, reducing as 6, 2, and 1, and that June 21st. So in any case, with this 144, right, and all of its connections to the Mark of the Beast, Walt Whitman, all of it, right? What's so interesting to me, again, with this 126 is the way that this article is written, is it does make it seem like, right, the Omicron vaccine is connected to the 126. And what's also amazing in here is they do talk about, where is it? Omicron is said to result in less severe COVID-19. And yet, right, that's just what they said one day. This shit fucking matters what they say. Now notice here, if we look at the big full Monty, right, Pfizer Omicron vaccine, it's a symbol of 224. And again, the Victory Day stuff that we were talking about, right, VD 224. It's when they started their invasion of Ukraine. You'll also see here references to burning the linden tree. Oh, wow. Love through sacrifice, terrorist strike, human extermination. A reference to the number 185, so hold on to that. I also want to look at January 25th, 125 is a simple value, right? 125. In here you see Deathbed Edition, which do remember was the 33rd edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, right? All the things I talked about. Also False Flag Attack, okay. And you'll see as well here the numbers 1, 8, and 5 written out, just like 185 above it. So hold on to that. And take a look here, because I was just thinking about Mark of the Beast, right? We keep seeing it everywhere. MOTB is the abbreviation, which is an anagram for tomb. Okay, so you can see here the coding for that and all of the things, all right? But so take a look here at this 185 coding for the simple value, because this is an incredibly important set of coding, and it's something that's come up throughout the years here. So I just gave you a nice big block of this stuff, all right? So you can see here the US dollar collapse, the Chinese virus, the global financial reset, you know, kind of on and on here with these different references to very, very important things. Donald John Trump. I'm not going to go too much into it because that is something that I did just kind of have written out for you to look at. But what I do want you to also see here is the phrase trust the experts, because, right, that's what we're told. It's trust the experts, follow the science. And you'll notice here that same coding is a NWO global financial reset, as well as the numbers 2022, which is 2022, the number 22 also written out. Trump will be executed, on and on. We've seen a million things for that. And you also have that number 414, which I do believe is now going to be in part 1 of this video, where we had talked about that 414. I want to see if I can actually get one of these brought up for you. So there's the simple 414, wow, which is very interesting. So I'm going to let you check that out. But I also want to be able to pull up here, and you can see, of course, it's an English value for 69. It's connections to false flag, stuff going on in LA. But let's see when we write that 414 out. There we go. We do get some big connections and how this goes into stuff from Pink Floyd's The Wall and the video that I did on that years ago. You can see here it's asking us to decode upcoming storms from Trust the Experts. Upcoming storms, simple 202. September 13. Again, that is when that Survivor movie that we briefly talked about earlier came out. It's also the day that Tupac died. All the things that I've talked about in those videos. And so, yeah, here are just some more dates here. I'm going to scroll through so that you can see some of the other coding here that I don't know that I'm going to have time for today. More about, just the Red Bull gives you wing stuff, how it connects in further with this number 23. More stuff from slogans for the Wings for Life. I want you to see Wings for Life is the same as Ride the Bull. And again, thinking about what that has to do with all of this different coding. All right, so there we have it. I think that's all that I have the capacity to share with you today across these two videos. There was one other really interesting bit here from I believe this was a Russian poet, Mariana Savetia, and she talked about witnessed the death of a young Russian who had been a soldier in the White Army during the Civil War. He died of intestinal tuberculosis at the age of 28, and just before his death, he had a dream of being chased by a Red Bull calf. This incident gave rise to Svetia's poem, The Red Bull Calf, Kresnia Bychok. So, obviously something that I would encourage you to take a look at here. This was more stuff on the World Heart Federation, founded in 1978. So just to reiterate, cross-check there for anybody who didn't think that was actually 44 years ago, because, right, that is actually pretty insane. I want you to see one other thing here, the phrase riding the bull, because I think that this has a lot to do with the coding that we're seeing. And so if I were to pull up that simple 168, which you just saw it's connected to, you can see that riding the bull is the same as, right, Vladimir Putin, system purge, enough is enough, blood for ritual, right, all of the things. So I have some other dates here highlighted for you for how that 126 can be brought out. Some more stuff connected to the 185 numbers, so that you can see again how it all links into everything that we've discussed here. For what it's worth, it's not the normal cool, calm, and collected presentation style I have today. But it's because, I am just at at 0.77 seconds, just to give us one last hail there on the way out. And so for those of you curious, because I don't think I got the picture in here, maybe I did, but yes, this is the Pablo Picasso painting, all of the things. And so thank you. And please be well.